Whatever. We're gonna press start anyways. Okay, we're live now.
Awesome.
Hopefully the lag is not an issue. Battles. Yeah, multiplayer battle.
Yep.
Look for passwordy games. Did you call it 2 games, 1 cup?
Yep. And 1-2.
Great. Spectate. I'm joining as a spectator.
Yep.
We're gonna press start anyways. Okay, we're live now.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Hopefully,
Yeah, I just heard myself.
hopefully the
Greetings. This is the championship battle between Mr. Samber Agni Tucci and ODM Shidoku and RTK Aura of Death. So they were both able to tie up in their round robins. So we're going to have a best of 3 championship playoff battle here to see who is the victor for Khaine. And I got Otter joining with me in the commentary here for this. So both armies looks like they have readied up. Are you in here, Otter, in the spectators?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm just tweaking the spelling of championship in the event listing.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna share the link, and then I'm gonna hop in there with you, and we'll get rolling. We will get rolling.
All right, so I'm just letting them both know that the stream is up.
Gotta learn how to spell. Okay, so yeah, and I'm gonna just give me 2 seconds here. I'm just gonna pop that link on our group chat. View channel. Videos. All right. Bam. Okay, guys, we are live. Good luck. Have fun to the contestants. All right. So I will be hopping in as a spectator in about 2 seconds.
All right.
And so you want to do? Do we agree we're going to do a best of 3 on this one since it's a championship round?
Yep, best of 3. Yep.
I like that. And you're choosing the
maps. Map. First one, is already MP Crossroads. Sorry, not MP Crossroads, but the MP Hero Ridge.
Yep. Awesome. I'm excited. Ready to roll. Let's do it. I will make a request though that we hide the unit card during the stream, just so that we can see the units a little bit better, if that's okay with you that much.
Oh yeah.
If you want it up during the deployment phase, I don't care. But during the actual battle, it'd be great if we can hide it.
Yes.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. All right.
No worries. So happy Father's Day out there to any fathers, would-be fathers, grandfathers, Darth Vader.
Yeah. I am your father. No! I don't know if that was exactly the best revelation for Luke,
but... Father's Day gone Ari.
Mm-hmm.
That's a funny sounding word. Ari? I feel like I have cotton balls in my mouth when I say it.
Yep.
All right, just you can hide that unit card, or not the unit card, the screen now.
Yeah, right when it loads in, I'm gonna do that. I'm just keeping it up until then.
You might have already taken it down too, because I'm actually seeing the live stream, so I'm probably a little delayed too. So just if anything I say doesn't make sense, feel free to ignore it.
I think that the delay will maybe cause just a bit, but I think it should be fine. It's not too much. It's not too far in the past, I think. So
okay, cool.
All right.
So let's do some analysis here. What do we think of this map? I know we've played on it a lot. How do you think it's going to favor or disfavor the armies that we're going to be seeing today?
Well, so we have an interesting Just something weird came up. We have an interesting matchup here. So we've got the Dawi and Skaven versus the High Elves and Vampire Counts. So it looks like we're going for two factions that are pretty much going to be, kind of a solid artillery slash cannon line, possibly. And
Yeah.
this map is definitely conducive to, trading artillery. I think because it's open and it's large, so you can definitely have a style, that will,
Mhm.
a style of play that will basically allow for that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's pretty cozy. There's a mix of trees and open space, and I agree with you, Time Lord. I think there are definitely certain pockets where it's easy to place your artillery, and then you have the woods where you can hide like your high value, like let's say uh, your high value defensive units. I mean, there's no empire, but what's coming in my mind is something like Demigryph Knights, right? You could position them in the woods safely, protect them from shooting, yet they would still be close to your artillery. So even though it is a fairly open map, it tends to translate into a relatively defensive playstyle in a lot of the games that we've played with. But there are some blind spots, and if you are patient and take sort of a long way around, I think sometimes you can push through the woods on the flanks and cause a little disruption and problems. So, yeah,
yeah,
like Tyler said,
the terrain
go
is
ahead.
definitely conducive to some type of flanks on the edges around this central area, and I think it's one of
Mhm.
the only maps, including like some of the other MP crossroads maps, that allow for um, basically the stalk type ability of where your terrain basically obscures
Mhm.
the vision of both of the players. So I think I think that type of flanking style is indeed something that we will be looking for here, most likely with, or we'll probably see with Cav. Um,
Yeah.
that being said, I am going to go a little bit over the deployments here. So it looks like we got with the RTK bringing the Dawi, we have a line of 3 cannons here. So it's definitely going to be heavily favoring the artillery route at the very beginning here. He's going to be looking to make sure that the enemy is going to be coming to his lines, and Skaven support as well. So with the range that they have, they are definitely going to. I don't see the Vampire Coast having any artillery whatsoever. So they are definitely looking to move up quite quickly and get into melee combat, both Mr. Samper and let's see who is wait, that's
Is
Agony Kuchi.
Amber and Switch? Yeah.
Yeah. Amber is playing the Vampire Coast here, so it's I don't know. I mean, it's
Looking
gonna be. Oh, go ahead.
looking at the army selects, is there any? Do you have any early picks on favorites on who you expect to win the match, just based on the units that they brought and how they're positioned right now?
Um, it'll be interesting to see. The Vampire Coast is an interesting pick with no artillery, honestly. And it looks like we're going for a very heavy mongrel build here, looking to get into that back line, possibly to terror route some units. And both contestants have started up. So yeah, I think that we're going to be seeing here is the mongrels. Hunters trying to come around the flank and possibly get into this back line here, and obscuring from the main Dawi artillery here, because it's only going to be firing really at spearmen and wetlands of Krace, which are not very high value targets, honestly. For they'll do definitely some damage, but I think that the mongrels will be definitely what they'll want to be targeting. So maybe Mr. Samper is trying to look to get a bit of a flank around and not have line of sight from the arty there. That being said, we have a bunch of Skaven Slaves, the Nutty Bubo sharpshooter in the back, so the Warplock Basails are going to be firing in, taking out the bats early on. I don't see the... Yeah, we have some Scurvy Dogs coming in from the right flank here, and a bit of a Lyrian Reaver skirmish coming in. Is there any troops? No, there's no other troops in the back for skirmishing, so a couple of flanks. We
There's
have...
I just saw some scurvy dogs get in on the Giselles here.
Oh
In the
yeah, so
back.
this is a nice little charge in here from Mr. Samber. She's gotten in, shut down one of the Warplock Brazils, so that is one of 3. Those Scurvy Dogs, they haven't been shut down yet, so they've gotten a lot of damage off on the Warplock Brazils, honestly, for that value. Pulling through, looking to take out some of the Coralers, I guess. I don't know. I would have probably focused a little bit more on the Warplock to Sails, just because they are they're going to be getting more value shot there. But and it looks like, yeah, they are going to crumble, so that pretty much is going to be done. We got the Scurvy Dogs coming in the front, so cannon line being shut down. 3 lines of cannons. They as they've come in here, I don't think they're going to be able to get out of the range here, but I haven't seen them pull off yet. That being said, there's still a lot. Rat Ogres in the back. There's just a lot of heavy infantry troops that have not been committed for Shidoku and RTK at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see, once the front lines clash, who is able to pull out the win here. Got some Go ahead.
Tom, do you mind pressing just I so to hide the card on that bottom left corner?
Oh, yeah. So trees, Skaven Slaves being summoned, and front lines set engaged now. So White Lions of Grace getting a bit of a flank off here on the Dwarf Warriors in the front. 3 units for 1 Dwarf Warrior is, I don't think, optimal, but we've got a bit of a frontline engagement. It is surrounded, so it's going to be breaking pretty soon here. Cannon lines are still up. The Scurvy Godovs being able to get a bit of damage off on them, but at the same time, we do have the Heralds of the Wind coming back. Just a little bit of skirmishing here. Rat Ogres pushing them off, though. Not able to get into the Warplock to Sails cookie jar quite yet. That being said, we got the Mongrels charging forward. I think they'll be able to push through that front line, get into the cannons, and once these Mongrels from Mr. Sample push through into this Dwarven center area here at the cookie jar, I think that'll be pretty much the deciding factor of the game. If this can hold out for a long period of time, I think that it'll go the way possibly of Aura of Death. But if the Mongrels are able to get into that cookie jar, I think it will most likely favor more likely the Vampire Coast. So, but we shall see. Right flank engagement. Yeah, pretty much just Spearmen and Plague One Census Bearer was actually fighting in the woods here against Keepers of the Flame. So pretty much just trading in the woods. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Morngulls are the key unit in this case. It does look like they are able to push into the back line, but there's a unit of Skaven Slaves that are sitting there waiting for them. I know they're not going to win, but they can tie them up for a little bit while the Quarrelers spread out and sort of reestablish that concave firing position. Cannons looks like they are still online, and I do think there's still a lot of shooting in the back line with the Jezzails able to fire in. And as the Morngulls are depleted, then I just don't think that the Vampire Coast is going to have the fighting power to really get through the heavy dwarf line. And there's still a lot of Longbeards that are very high.
Yeah, very high armor. That being said, we have a unit of Dragon Princes here being routed off, and the Mongrels, they are tying up the Warplock Jezzails and the Horlers, but the Rat Ogres doing a nice job of screening off the Mongrel Hunters, and the Dragon Princes taking a ton of damage in the back line here. So it's the Vampire Coast is starting to get a bit tattered there. They have been able to get into the cookie jar a bit here, shut down one of the cannons, got some Illyrian Reavers coming into the back, also charging at those cannons, trying to shut them down, but it has been a bit of a slow decline here for the Vampire Coast here. Being said, if they are able to push back with maybe some tear, the Skaven does not do very well with leadership. We might see change here in the fact of this play at the moment, but still have some handgunners in the back, so firing into the front lines. That being said, that the entire cookie jar has been pretty much gotten into, but I think it might be a little bit too late. There's not much in the back for Agony Twitchy and Mr. Samber. So the frontline engagement is going most likely the way of the Skaven and the Dawi at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Quarrelers have been free to shoot most of the time. The cannons have also been online for most of the time. I think the Jezzails still have a lot of ammo, are fairly healthy. I think it will be very uphill for the Vampire Coast at this point.
Yeah,
so, I mean, what would you have done differently? Like now that we can pretty much see the writing on the wall for this map, do you think maybe more of a vanguard would have been helpful in this map? Because this is one of those maps where you can vanguard across the entire back line, and like you said, you were talking about the stock mechanic earlier on,
Mm-hmm.
where you there are certain ridges, right? And if you're not actually facing the in the
So that
direction
is
of them,
the
even if you're out of the woods, you can be hidden. Even if you don't even have a stock mechanic, you're hidden. And
right.
so and looking at the deployment of Shidoku and Aura of Death, I didn't see any units screening off the corners or probing for vanguards. They went really tight around their cannons, and maybe having a little bit more backline pressure might have helped out there. I didn't see what value. Like I'm just looking. Sorry, Time Lord, if you want to chime
And
in here, and feel
I'm just
free.
saying
But
congratulations to both contestants at the or rather, great job on both
yeah,
parts.
yeah,
Congratulations to ODM and RTK for the
yeah.
taking the first round. To comment on what you were talking about, Otter, I think that maybe a bit more of a vanguard might have um, been beneficial to the Hiles and the Vampire Coast. Maybe a mongrel hunter pack in the back with one of the single ones. I know they have like the ability to Vanguard now, so that might
Yeah.
have changed a bit of it there, gone in favor. But definitely a difficult call on to to if it would have been a more infantry heavy engagement, I think the mongrels would have definitely been a deciding factor. But the fact of the cannons being able to stay on for a while definitely did, I think, push it into the favor of RTK and ODM.
Mm.
Um,
So what do you, I like? I'm looking at I'm still actually on the end screen right now, and I'm just looking over like the kill counts for the different units, and I think the White Lions, they just really struggle to provide enough value to be worth their cost against dwarfs. I think the Longbeards seems like they can just outlast them in most of the fights, um, and I don't know if I don't think going with a White Lion build against dwarfs is going to result in a victory in most matches. So I think there has to be another type of strategy. Maybe you just tie them up with spears. Like Longbeards and spears are going to just be like locked in combat forever, right? And if you can do that, and then maybe you hit them with a couple of rear charges with some cavalry while the Longbeards are busy fighting with the spears, I think maybe that would be the way to go. It lets you go a little bit wider. It lets you soak a little bit more artillery damage potentially. Maybe that's something I would try. And I mean, I don't play a lot of high elves, but I think it's it can be quite brave to bring Phoenix Guard and White Lions. I think in that matchup against Dwarf, I thought Amber's build was pretty good. I do think the Mongol Hunters were a nice choice. Um, I don't know if they had enough mass to push through the units that they needed to get through. I'm wondering if Rotting Leviathan might have been viable, but I think it's just so hard to bring those big units because they tend to get shot down a lot. But
especially on
if
these
you,
open maps, yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
So
It's tough.
now going into the second round here, we're going to be playing on Tower of Hoeth here. Looks like we got a mirror matchup of Dawi and Skaven. So maybe from the from the last match here, both of them, maybe Mr. Semper and Agni Tucci, looking to counter that heavy cannon play here on the part of Dawi from RTK, with a bit of Skaven. Let's see.
So we have a mirror matchup now.
Yeah,
Skaven and Dwarf versus
this is
Skaven and
very
Dwarf.
this is going to be very interesting. With Tower of Hoeth is an interesting map. Um, there's a lot of woods on each side, so you can have a bit of an engagement there. But there's a lot of open space as well. So it's kind of a combination of both a wooded area and a open area for the flank. I think that the high ground on well, I don't know. I mean, you've played on Tower Force. What do you think there in terms of kind of what we might
I
see.
mean, personally, it's not my favorite map, and the reason for it's very simple. It depends on what, like, depend depending on what army build you bring. Your army may be better suited for fighting in open hill, or better suited, open air, or better suited for fighting in the woods. If you have a shooty heavy army, obviously you're going to want to fight in the open area, and if you have a melee focused army, obviously you're going to fight in the woods. And I've seen games where uh, someone who wants to fight in the woods will just sit in the woods, and then someone who wants to fight in the open will just sit in the open, and they both stare at each other, and no one ever engages. That
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
tournament play. It's a bit different, but
Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah, so
yeah,
both contestants, because of that going over that's a good point there. So on ladder, Tower of Hoeth can be definitely a kind of a headache to engage in the woods or in the
yeah,
open. But I think that since it is tournament play, both contestants have the mandate that they have to engage, at least have one unit engaged in combat, or attempting to engage in combat, or repositioning in order to engage in combat at some point in time. So the rule of basically
yeah,
attacking. And since both contestants are considered attackers, the initiative is on both to initiate combat, essentially. So we will be seeing definitely some engagements both throughout the woods and most likely the open area. So I am kind of curious what you think about the. Looks like both of them are trying to check the map at the moment here. I'll give them a bit of a. Let's see.
yeah.
I have time limit
And
here. Go
this
ahead.
is the best two. This is the best 2 out of 3, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to likely see. Oh, Shidoku is changing to Beastman. That would be our first Beastman sighting in the entire tournament. So that could be super interesting to watch. I don't know how it's going to pan out for him. We did see Shidoku playing Norska, I believe, earlier in the tournament. So it does seem like he has some comfort playing with some lighter armored, rushy types of factions. I don't see how that's going to synergize as well with the Dwarf playstyle. But again, much like Norska, you have that sort of complement of each other in the sense that dwarfs are slow, they're heavily armored, beastmen are lightly armored, and they're fast. So in theory, they're sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum and maybe can compensate for the deficits of each other. But it's not like the beastmen will be able to contribute to the shooting in the same way that the dwarves will, assuming they don't bring Cygors. And so by Shidoku going Beastmen, it can put potentially their team in an awkward situation where Shidoku will feel the pressure to advance, and Aura of Death will be wanting to sit back and shoot. And if you get separation of your two armies, that can create gaps in your defense, or scenarios where you're fighting two armies versus one, and that can sometimes work out poorly. Okay, now it looks like Shidoku's reevaluated his strategy and has switched back to a shooting heavy centric faction, and so we're going to fortunately not see a mirror matchup here, but we will see the four most shooting centric factions in the game in Skiv and Dwarf, Coast, and Empire.
Yeah, it's really so in this matchup here. It looks like what do you think?
Or
Oh, and it looks like RTK switched back
back
to
to
Dwarf.
Dwarf.
So yeah, I think a bit of possibly mind games going on, trying to figure out what they. I'm gonna save 1 minute for both of the contestants here, make sure they pick their final comps. Um, what do you think is going through the mind or through RTK and ODM? Like, are they trying to? How do you think they're trying to deal with the Skaven shooting? Like, are they just trying to make sure that they can weather the storm, or that?
Well, I feel like the onus is on Amber and Twitchy to really adjust to Shidoku and Aura of Death, because I feel like Shidoku and Aura of Death, they've shown sort of the gold standard of what is the most competitive or most difficult build, at least in this tournament, for opponents to deal with. And there's been a lot of success with that heavy long beard dwarf front line, and then just other things to sort of anchor it. And in a lot of matches, we've seen that as sort of the backbone. And sometimes we see it complemented with High Elf, sometimes we see it complemented with Skaven, but consistently that has been sort of a very safe bet to go for. And so I think the challenge is, what tools exist in any of the other armies toolkits that can deal with, say, 4 to 5 units of Longbeards?
Yeah,
And
the Longbeards have definitely been. I mean, we've seen the Dwarven metacomp, going here for a while. The Skaven were definitely shook that meta a bit up with the fact of their addition of the Warplock Jezzails. Um, Okay, I'm going to say for both contestants to ready up. But yeah, I think that the just doing a quick little check on Army comps here. Moment.
I mean, I
Go
don't
ahead.
I don't play a lot of Dwarf, and I don't think you do either. But let's say you are playing Dwarf, you bring 4 or 5 Longbeards.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be most afraid about? What is going to challenge you?
Honestly, if my range gets taken out, and my backline gets taken out, and I'm only left with the Longbeards, I don't think I'll have enough possibly to hack through the rest of. I mean, the Longbeards will hold definitely for a very long time. It'd be very
Mhm.
difficult to break through, but I don't think I'll have enough damage possibly output to probably win the game. So if the other the specific cannons, like the cannons, or maybe even if you have like gyrocopters and everything like that, if any of the mobility gets taken out for the Dawi, I think that the Longbeard line will probably be able to be overrun, not do enough damage, and that will be the game for one side. But that being said, Longbeards are very difficult to deal with, like on their own. There are, some. If you want to get enough damage off on them, um, sorry, just 1 second. Okay. Yeah, if you want to get enough damage off on them, you're gonna have to commit a lot of resources to destroying them. So, a
Mhm.
front line of 5 Longbeards is definitely nothing to sneeze at. It is definitely something that can push it in the favor of
Yeah.
the Dawi quite heavily. That being said,
I,
though, if the Skaven do have
it,
tools with
it, it,
now, I think, to deal with some of that. So, like Warp Block Desales and possibly even the Rattling Gunners getting in on there to get a lot of damage.
in my experience, dealing with Longbeards as it's kind of like I don't know, dealing with kids with ADHD. Like I think the best way to do it is just give them something to do. You don't necessarily have to well, I think the metaphor kind of dies there. You don't have to kill kill the Longbeards per se, but you have to keep them engaged and occupied. Well, the rest of your stuff can kind of flank around the back or interrupt the quarrelers and or thunderers or cannons or whatever shooting tools that the dwarfs have in their arsenal, because you're going to find shooting in pretty much every dwarf army, right?
Right.
Um,
That being said, I mean,
and
go ahead.
I think just the last thing that I think another thing that has to be capitalized on is Longbeards are still relatively slow. They're not slayers, right? And so if you see an army that doesn't have any slayers, that opens up the mobility game a little bit more, I think. And there should be some way of trying to take advantage of that. I would think.
So it looks like it's a bit of a engagement here between the in the woods and in the trees. It looks like RTK opting to go more towards the open area. Make sure that he gets the use out of his cannons here as they
Mm-hmm.
come in, and possibly using this little center area as kind of a. I think that is all indestructible. Like with some of the like little elven arches here. I think the
Mm-hmm.
units are kind of amongst them, so you can just walk right through them. But it is a bit of a small little defensive area. That being said, he did decide to move his cannons up onto the hill here, so making I don't know. It looks like the Agni Twitchy and um, uh, Mr. Samper are looking to do a flank through the woods, possibly negate most of the damage from the cannons that could be put out onto. Go ahead.
Do you think this match favors mid range shooting or long range shooting?
I think that it depends on how far they can get Mr. Semper and Agni can get a flank, essentially. I think it depends on how far they can get
Right.
onto the flank of ODM Shidoku and
Mhm.
RTK without taking too much damage from the cannons
Right.
and firing here. I'm
And
I think
and
it
if
might be very possible with this large tree line here, and how they are set up currently.
Yeah, if I can just say something really quickly, I think if I'm Aura of Death and Shidoku, I'm going to be assuming that if there's a push that's coming, it's not going to be through the open field. It's going to be through the woods, and so uh, I mean, I've played on this map a lot. Typically, that's what people will do. So if if I'm Shidoku and I'm Aura of Death, I'm putting my defensive units to screen out the woods. I would already have my Longbeard sort of cheating towards this side. What I think is a potential problem with this map, and we'll see if this becomes the case. I don't know if you can see the arrow lines that I draw on as a spectator. We will see, but
I can, yeah, I can.
if they are within range of this of the cannons, if they can shoot from the safety of the woods into the cannons, which I think they probably can if they can secure this spot, that could cause some problems for Shidoku and or of Death. They might need to retreat their cannons, pull them up, and have them reface over here. I would assume that they would want to set up a little bit more on of an angle here with their defensive units screening out the woods, and then shoot in from this direction. Obviously, we know exactly where the other army is. They do not, but just from knowing the map and you know who's more likely to be the aggressor, that's what I would assume.
It looks like they did bring, so we have a bit of an investment here, a heavy investment on cannons. So it looks like they're definitely trying to take the open area engagement, Shidoku and RTK. We got a Queen Bess actually on the field, which is you don't normally see, and but you can sometimes see in tournament play between two characters. That being said, it's gonna be firing almost immediately at these Skaven slaves. So poor Skaven slaves, they might be getting a bit of. Let's see if it does actually connect here. Nope, it's going to be completely microed out. So that might be good. He might want to actually not see if he can. Yeah, he's firing again at the Skaven slaves. So I would not be wasting ammo on these Skaven slaves here. It looks like he's trying. Who's playing? It looks like Mr. Samber is trying to bait out a couple of shots from the Queen Bess.
Why not?
Yep, and it is definitely, and even with that, I don't think Amber cares very much about those Skaven slaves. I think she is happy that that actually got hit there.
It only has 15 shots, and I'm not seeing a gunnery white, and it's used 3 shots on the Skaven slaves already, 3 of 15. So that's a big win already. Maybe 4 of 15. I don't know if Shidoku's realized.
So we are getting a bit of cannon fire here. It looks like we got 2 cannons focusing down a unit of, what are these? Longbeards. So getting a bit of damage off on the unit of Longbeards here. I don't think they are in range. Yeah, they are not in range of the cannons. Neither cannon line is in range of the other ones. So it looks like the Dawi are just trading a couple of early blows, and they're getting a little bit concerned about attacks from the forest here. Oh, we got a Plague Claw. Oh, wow. Okay, so there are multiple Plague Claw catapults hidden in this forest here. This could be an interesting tactic here. They might be looking. I mean, they're going to be blocked by the trees, but because of the arc of these Plague Claw catapults, they're probably going to be able to get some decent damage off onto
It's interesting to me that Aura of Death is not pushing up his cannons and trying to counterfire against the other dwarf cannons. Twitchy only has 2 cannons. Aura of Death has 3.
Yeah, and they're already. It looks like Twitchy is already focusing on the Queen Bess. So Queen Bess does not want to be here. It is already going to be taken out by the cannons here. This is definitely going to be an early loss, I think, for ODM and Shidoku. It's already crumbling. There's no way that this is going to be gotten out of here. And you can target. Wow, so possibly a bit of a micro mistake here by Shidoku on the early faction. Having his Queen Bess, I don't think that anything that he could be possibly firing at is worth losing the Queen Bess this early on to those cannons. So, and it looks like he is just firing at the Dwarven cannons at the moment. So.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to take an artillery trade with Queen Bess versus a cannon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have a hill to cover or to protect Queen Bess from the cannon shots. So usually where you do see that work is if you have Queen Bess behind the hill, and then the cannonballs would go into the hill.
Yeah, so early artillery trades down, I definitely say on the the ODM and Agony Twitchy and Mr. Samber have been getting the better of this cannon trade here.
Oh,
That being
from the
said,
Giselles.
yeah, here
In the
come
woods,
the
the
jail.
Giselles are active now. Yeah, shooting in at the depth guard.
Yeah,
So
and we got the play call catapults coming in too. So very interesting.
it's baiting a
artillery battle coming
response.
here. Yeah, it's
This
baiting.
is shocking to me because it's clear that Aura of Death and Shidoku have the artillery advantage, and yet it seems like they are the ones who are somehow being baited into the mobility game and advancing. There's no, I mean, obviously we have the benefit of just being commentators and spectating, but if anyone should be pushing, it should have. I mean, you would think it would be Mr. Samber and Twitchy.
And that might be that type of mentality might actually be to the detriment. Like they might have been expecting a push on the right flank here. Sorry, their left flank, but the right flank for Mr. Samber onto their back line. So even the cannons here in the back, there's multiple cannon groups. They're kind of a little bit together too much. I think they're, there's troops moving through them. They're not. I don't think that they're microing their units for the cannons quite. They're not focused on the micro of these cannons as much as I think they should be. Maybe they're hoping that the longer lines can take them out, but at the moment, it is definitely going in the favor of.
And the Giselles are in range on the cannons. This is what we were talking about. That mid-range shooting creeping up in the woods, shooting into the cannons, that can cause a lot of problems because now they're in cover and they are shooting in and sniping out those crews. And we've seen how effective Mr. Samber can be when she uses the Giselles as a counter pick to the cannons, and it seems like that will be the case in this game. Now, in the defense of Shidoku and Aura of Death, the reason I assume that they are being so cautious with their cannons is they probably don't know what is in the woods here. Maybe they think that Agony Twitchy or Mr. Samber have other cannons just hidden in the woods or something, and that's why they're being so cautious. So maybe the art of deception is working in favor of Mr. Amber and Twitchy in this matchup.
Well, definitely these plate clock catapults firing from the tree line here is really interesting. I mean, honestly, out of even though the Skaven slaves, the Warplock Giselles have been instrumental in kind of doing a little bit of skirmishing from the wood line or the tree line, these plate clock catapults I think were very surprising to both Aura of Death and Shidoku. I certainly wasn't expecting them to to be here, but it is a very interesting pickup to see them firing from the trees, and it kind of makes sense because the arc of the plate calls allow them. Some of the shots will get caught up by the trees, but they can. Most of them will probably get through and be able to fire out through them. So they're being able to pick targets and kind of. They're definitely.
I am watching the firing arcs and the way it's set up. None of the shots are being obstructed at the present time. So it's giving them some protection from the trees, and like you said, it lets them shoot. So super cool stuff.
So there is a bit of a engagement over on the right flank here. We've got Doom Flayers and Longbeards charging in through the woods, and a bunch of Clan Rats with shields supporting. This engagement is going to be with 2 Longbeard units and the Belgor Ironhammer. So looks like RTK trying to push up through the woods and shoot and get down some of this Skaven shooting, shut down a bit. But at the moment, I believe it is going definitely heavily in the favor of the Clan Rats that are here. That being said, we got a pop of Rune of Oath and Steel and Mighty Oath Stone, so that's going to be buffing those Longbeards.
So the Rune Lord and the and Belgar have both commit to the woods, which means that they're not near their cannons. So I'm wondering if now is the time to maybe make a dash across the open field while the Rune Lord and Belgar are occupied fighting Clan Rats in the woods.
And take out this cannon. That being said, they've been pretty much. It's interesting play here. The side, with the exception of the taking down the Queen Bess early, most of and possibly some of the units from ODM Shidoku, most of the Dwarven cannons have been pretty much entirely ignored by Mr. Samber and I keep forgetting his name, but they've completely taken over this wooded area and forced the dwarves and the vampire coast to fight on the open field while they fire on them from range with the play clock catapults. This is a very interesting, very fascinating, a very good move, I think, on both Agony Pucci's and Mr. Sambert's part.
If it were me, I would like to see the clan rats pushing up a little bit here. They are disposable if they do get shot in the front line. Oh, and actually, I think we're seeing maybe Mistress Amber's making that play right now, because there's just Quarrelers there, and there's nothing else screening them off. There's only one unit of deckhand mobs, so unless Noctilus pulls up some summons, those clan rats are going to get right onto the shooting units or potentially disrupt the cannons from firing. There's a lot. It's going to open up opportunities, I think.
Yeah, so the mind games in this game have been, I think pretty heavy here, because we got, if you look here, we have a unit of Dwarven warriors that are just sitting in the forest here, all the way back here doing nothing. I think their Aura of Death is as hoping to screen off any type of vanguarded units from this forest backline. So it's how they have deployed has definitely it played a lot of mind games, I think, on the Dawi and Shidoku here, which has definitely been to the benefit of Mr. Samber.
I think one thing we haven't commented on yet is we do have Lord Skrulk roaming through the woods on that flank, and he is providing some sort of Mortis engine support that can help maybe grind down these Longbeards. And if the dwarfs are unable to shoot him, then Skrulk, I think, over time is going to be able to degen out those Longbeards, which has been a problem for Twitchy and Amber in previous games. It's just how do you get through that tankiness and that armor? And Skrulk
it looks like we do have three. We have 3 Longbeards committed to this forest engagement here, and a unit of clan rats, but they've been able to get a very high amount of damage off of one of these Longbeard units. The other one's below half health, and the other one is partially damaged. So I don't believe there's a single Longbeard unit that has not been. Yeah, there's one just standing here, getting holding the line. It's trying to maybe push into the forest at the moment, but a lot of damage onto these Longbeards, and I believe he only has like 4 at the moment. So one of them is probably pretty much out of the game. Possibly some other ones are done as well. There's small little skirmish battles kind of all over the map because of this map, how large this map is. We got a unit of Clarence fighting zombie deckhands with zombie deckhand polearm mobs. So and rat ogres. So okay, we do have rat ogres looking to probably flank in to the backline, get into this backline, get onto these cannons. They can possibly get tied up by these deckhand mobs. But I think, it's starting to go very balance bar shifting in the favor, just slightly in the favor of looks like Agony Twitchy. Well, no. Surprisingly, it looks like the balance bar. Yeah, it's Shidoku. Yeah.
Surprisingly, though, but I think Amber and Twitchy are still in a good spot. Of note is the play called Catapults. The 2 units that Twitchy or Amber brought are both out of ammo now, whereas the 3 units of cannons still have a ton of ammo, as do the carronades. So it looks like the Catapults run out of ammo a little bit faster than the cannons. There is a bit of ammo left in Twitchy's cannon, and it is still firing with one of its batteries.
So from these early engagements here, it looks like we have, the Reflector Sails focusing down the Quarrelers, and the backline has... Okay, so the Radagors have been able to get into the backline onto these cannons. They will be running through, trying to disrupt. I think it would be better... Yeah, so they are... She is pushing them through to the Dwarven cannons, which are less protected than the other ones. And
these could be the MVPs of the match.
Yep. I think that this cookie jar right here, there's not much... Oh, there's 2 coming in, so 1 from the woods. They were able to flank around. Yeah, shutting down this Dwarven cannon line. There's nothing... Shidoku has not moved over. Might not have noticed pole arms. They're trying to run and attack the rat ogres, but I don't believe it's going to be in time. I think that these cannons are definitely going to be offline. They're getting shut down.
The Longbeards are all busy in the woods. The Quarrelers are shooting in on them, but... they will be able to take out one of the units of rat ogres, but we'll see. Oh no, just one was wavering, but it's hanging on tough there. So now the rat ogres, they have to decide: are they going to charge the Quarrelers? Are they going to try and stick it out and suicide in the cannon lines, or are they going to pull outside the range of the Quarrelers, hope that the Quarrelers drop their attack orders, and then re-engage? But tough decision right now for these rat ogres, and right now they're just running around.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a bit of a still, we have a large forced engagement going on. The Dwarven warriors that were back in the back line. Okay, so there's a full unit of health Dwarven warriors that are in the back line that are being committed now. Belagor is still, he's still doing okay. On health, he's not really having any problems. But this wood engagement here is definitely. It looks as though it's going. I mean, I know it's the balance bar. This could be big. So it looks like Count Noctilus is not in a good spot at the moment. He's gotten surrounded by Dwarven warriors. Looks like there's going to be another summons, and he's fighting Ungrim Iron Fist. So he does not want to be there. If he goes down, and it looks like he is completely surrounded. And it looks like Belagor's trying to come in to help, give some buffs, but
what a fight! Where's Skrulk? Skrulk's got to go in there and help out too.
Skrulk is actually going to the right at the moment. It looks like he's trying to take out, maybe make sure that this rose...
Or else Ungrim's going to go down.
Yeah, it looks like Count Noctilus is... Ungrim is very low. Yeah, not being...
escaped.
Ungrim has escaped. But Noctilus...
But now
so
it's
we do have
Skrulk.
Yep. Yeah, it's a 2v on Skrulk, so big fight here between the lords.
Skrulk could have finished off Noctilus, but he definitely doesn't want to fight a 2v1. And a Rune Lord too, now it's a 3v1. Skrulk is going to have to hightail it out of there.
Yeah, Skrulk is going to disengage, but I think it's going to be still the Dawi. We have some fire still going into Noctilus, so Skrulk is disengaging, running back, but he's getting focused by... Ooh, wow. So we have a Death Guard, and... they're trying to definitely focus down Skrulk, so Skrulk is in a bit of a sticky situation here. He's trying to get out of this focus by the three units.
Skrulk goes down, there's no answer to those Longbeards again.
Yeah, Noctilus looks like he's fighting. I don't know, I mean, he could just take this battle and try and say, okay, well, I want to fight Noctilus and, make sure that Noctilus just gets hit out, but it looks like we got the three Rune Lords being committed. But Skrulk is going to pop that scurry away and going to be trying to get out of there. Looks like he will make it.
It's really hard for them to catch him. And meanwhile, Noctilus getting shot in the face while he chases after him. Noctilus can heal, but he does have his healing cap bar up, and he's probably not going to want to chase any farther.
These lines of gunners here are definitely going to be firing. And Noctilus takes a ton of damage. I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of that because there's a bunch of Longbeards coming in actually from the underbelly line.
He's crumbling.
Noctilus looks like he's going to go down here. He's very, very close. His healing cap, I don't know what his healing cap is at, how much he has. So he has 200 health. Looks like, and 232. He's surrounded, 60.
He's gone.
Yep, he's gone. Noctilus is down, so that is going to be horrible for the Vampire Coast leadership there. That being said, the Dawi leadership will still be able to be a thing, and with these three Rune Lords and Belagor still being up, they have taken a ton of damage. They are getting into this backline, though, of the Thunders, pulling back. Skrulk is still around, and I don't know where the other Belagor is. Go ahead.
Just a quick update on the open field. So it looks like the Rat Ogres, they've been shot off. They rallied. They did a little bit of damage to the cannon crews, and the Clan Rats have pushed up, which is buying, I think, the Rat Ogres a little bit more real estate to actually reposition. But
yeah, it looks like the cannons are going to be finally shut down here. By the Rat Ogres and the Clan Rats coming in, charging in. There's not going to be that's going to be the end of the cannons coming.
This Rune Lord is getting shot in the face in the woods here by this unit of Thunderers. They are almost out of ammo, but I think one more volley should be able to finish that Rune Lord off, and that'll be only Belagor that is left, really, in terms of leadership, and one other Rune Lord, or Runesmith, sorry.
So very atrocious battle, getting actually some good flanking fire lines. These Thunders looking to turn around and getting some flanking shots onto the Longbeards as they charge up. Even the Plague Claw Catapult's being committed at the moment. Sorry, not Ikit, but Lord Skrulk is going to want to be very careful where he is. Belagor charging in, popping his Rune Lord, but that it does look like there are actually two Belagors, right? Because both players are... No, just one. Just the one.
Yeah. So Skrulk is definitely not where he wants to be. He is routing. I don't think he's going to escape this time because it looks like the Plague Claw Catapult is actually blocking his... Oh, no, he weaves through.
Skrulk is going to be able to scurry away. Yep.
I mean, he does have... unlimited uses of the Rod of Corruption, which is a little surprising to me. Liber Bobonicus is capped at 2. So I don't know how many, I didn't see how many uses of Liber Bobonicus has been used. Obviously, Belegar would be an optimal target for that. But look at the work of these handgunners just laying into Belegar, and it's really these handgunners that I think have been the biggest problem to the Dwarf leadership. They've just been shooting through these trees and somehow connecting with their high armor pen and chipping them down.
Yeah, I mean the concentrated fire. I mean, we do have a bit of a nice little cone-shaped firing coming in from the handgunners here, trying to get a crossfire onto Beligor, and it's been working out very well. Both the Rune Lords, one of the Rune Lords is down because of that focus fire, and the other one is, Beligor is on his last legs. That being said, the open field engagement, I think, it's now kind of gone in the way of Shoku, and there's not really anything left. The cannons are out of ammo. Most of the cannons have routed, so even though the field has pretty much been taken entirely by ODM Shoku and RTK, there's not much left on the field for them. And most of these units in the trees have just been able to get a surround on these Longbeards and Dwarven Warriors. So at the moment, I think, and these handgunners firing in, there's not much of an answer, I think, to these single units. There's not much an answer to this sheer amount of infantry that they have at the moment. That being said, looks like Beligor is trying to chase off Lord Skrolk, but because he can't see through the trees, Skrolk is going to become hit. Skrolk may be able to, in fact, come back. He will be at 54 health, but ODM Aura of Death will not be able to round him off the field by just chasing him through the trees because of Skrolk scurry away. So he's now just kind of moving Beligor through the trees that are hidden, and all these units are kind of becoming, slowly visible to each other. And it does look like nope, that's just a unit of
So I can confirm Skrolk will not be coming back. If you look at the leadership scroll bar, he says he has a base value of 65 leadership. He sustained a minus 74 penalty for damage taken, and his flanks are secure, which would be +5. So minus 74 and then +5. There's no way that I know of that he would be able to come back. So he will be running from the fight, but at this point, I think just delaying is going, once he's off the map, I think the Skaven is going to suffer an actual leadership penalty. As long as he's continuously scurrying off of the map, it's not going to give them the penalty for the Lord being dead. So it's really, I think the Skaven forces are on a clock right now about how long that they might be effective, but there's not a lot of Skaven left, to be honest, and I think it's really Twitchy's Dwarfs that are going to have to carry the day for Team Twitchy and Amber.
Yeah, I think the Dwarven line of Twitchy here, so that it looks like for Twitchy's Dwarves, I don't believe that his Ungrim was able to survive that onslaught, so there is no leadership directly for the Dwarven line of Twitchy. However, he has, I think, the advantage in troops at the moment. There's not many Longbeards left. There are very few units on the field for the Dwarves of RTK, and most of these units, though he does have Beligor, most of these units are going to be focused out. So these handgun units are firing into the carronades. I would possibly be turning them around and hopefully trying to shoot at Beligor to make sure that he dies. And they might be actually doing this shortly here. But so we're going to see maybe a flank come in. It's this Dwarven blob, and it will really be determinant. But we got Grumbling Guard here, and they will provide the aura of leadership to the dwarves, the Dawi line. So I think this blob here for the dwarves will definitely be able to hold out for a long period of time, along with the Thunderers, which still have 4 ammunition, which will be very instrumental in taking down these single entities, Beligor and the Rune Lord or Runesmith.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a little slog in the woods now. Dwarves whacking their pistols against these gunnery mob or deckhand mob and so on until there's really nothing left standing. But I do think that it's going to go in the favor of Shidoku and Aura of Death. But there's still Belgar. He's coming back. He's going to be tough to deal with, as is the Runesmith. So we shall see.
So the just a quick thing. The old ones, the old Grumblers give a affects allies in range plus 9% to vigor. So these troops that are fighting in the woods are definitely going to get a bit of a bonus in terms of both their leadership and the fact of their morale, because they are getting that boost from the Grumbling Guards, and they are at full health. So I don't think that there's enough dwarves at the moment or Vampire Coast to grind through these units here. Being said, a lot of the Dawi line are routing, mostly Coralers and some Warplector Sails here with the addition of Belagar. So this could be very dangerous. I mean, this is the bounce bar is starting to shift back into looks like RTK's and
it is
Shidoku's favor here with the addition of the Belagar, and this
the support buffs of the Runesmith and Belagar is really turning the tides of battle here, and there's no equivalent Skaven support with Skrulk off of the map, right? So yeah, and it shows you how closely matched these teams are. We're 20 minutes into the fight, balance bar still pretty dead even, and at this point we have Thunderers slapping Thunderers in the face in melee. Like we have two very closely matched, very highly skilled players here. So
that being said, a lot of the Skaven slaves coming back in clan rats looks like in the field. So and anything else, the main engagement is pretty much going to be where it is. If Belagar could be taken down by maybe some of the fire from the handgunners here, which only have 2 volleys left, then I think it will probably hold there. And if the Grumbling Guard can do their magic and the work on that, they will not rout. They are immune to psych, so they will be able to anchor the line against ODM's zombie pirates here. But they're going to be Bastion. So the bounce bar is actually sliding back in the favor of Agony Twitchy and Mistress Amber. Even so, there's a buff going down now from Belagar.
I just want to highlight, look at the positioning of Belagar and the Runesmith. I don't know if this was intentional by Aura of Death or not. I'm assuming yes, but they are keeping them like shoulder to shoulder, and they're keeping them right next to a tree. And because of that, that means that there's very few unit models that are able to get into contact with the Runesmith and Belagar, and that means that Belagar and the Runesmith are not being surrounded, and they're fighting almost 1v1 versus Grumbling Guard. And in that situation where you're fighting one model versus one model, Belagar and the Runesmith are going to go a lot farther in terms of the damage output that they can give. They can probably kill 200-300 Grumbling Guard if they can fight them one at a time rather than sitting in the middle of an entire unit.
That being said, there is very little left for Belagar in terms of troops to actually command here, and the Runesmith is actually the only thing really keeping it on the field. But the balance bar is shifting now heavily into the favor of Aura of Death and Shidoku. So a bit of, I think, because the Grumbling Guard are routing at the moment.
I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I do. I think based on who it seemed the Grumbling Guard were attacking, I think they tried to attack Belagar Ironhammer. Maybe they should have tried to kill the Longbeards first instead and ignore Belagar and the Runesmith, and then just try to win based on army losses instead of trying to actually kill Belagar, which I think is I don't think they have the tools to do it right now.
So we got Aura of Death with coming in. He does still have some Longbeards that are around. Those guys he still has 3 units with a zombie pirate deckhand. Well, I mean that's definitely. We do have a unit of Thunderers here firing in on Overwatch, possibly looking. It looks like they're firing at the Longbeards. So last bastion of dwarves, kind of here for Mr. Samber coming. I don't know if these Longbeards are going to be able to come back, rally with this leadership. They are being chased currently at the moment by a unit of Longbeards, which are going to get a rear charge off on them. But they are going to win that engagement, most likely. I think that just the leadership at this point for RTK I think that's definitely going to be the deciding factor here. I mean, all of these zombie pirates are going to stay around so long as there is leadership. So I don't think there's going to be much of an answer from Mr. Samber and Shidoku. Sorry, Mr. Samber and Agony. Yeah,
Yeah, I
just a,
think we can call it now.
yep. So very great game, very close, very interesting battle line tactics between these two players. It came right down to the wire here at
Yeah.
the 20-minute now, and that will be the game. So congratulations to RTK and Shidoku, the champions of the Two Kings One Cup tournament. So if we go through the unit cards here, we looks like we got Belikar putting a nice amount of work on 94 kills here, and the cannons. So even though the cannons were taken out, they were able to still get a decent amount of damage off. 73 kills and 51, so a respective amount of damage off onto the Skaven line there, along with the Dwarven. So interesting trading blows that occurred.
Yeah, I think some mistakes were made early on, maybe by Shidoku with the early loss to Queen Bess, but Shidoku and Aura of Death, they really recovered and sort of were able to turn things around. And I mean, it was just a great fought battle by both of the contestants there, and it was a treat to watch.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic battle, great games. Thank you both to Mr. Samber and Agony Pushy and Shoku and RTK Aura of Death for participating. And congratulations to RTK Aura of Death and Shidoku, ODM Shidoku, for being the victors of the Two Canes One Cup match. So,
all right, guys, thanks so much.
thanks for.
I don't know if Time Lord has anything else to say, but I'm out of here.
Yep.
We'll catch you later.
Yep. GG's. Thank you very much.